Boss Bottled Intense, my past few days obsession. Yes, today we're going to be talking about this fragrance in all of its entirety. The presentation, performance, price, should you buy it, should you try it, what should you do when you look at this bottle? So with that being said, we have tons to talk about. Let's jump right into it. Guys, hello, welcome, Timmy here, welcome back to another video. And man, this has been my past few days obsession. I've been wearing this one almost religiously for the past few days. I've worn other fragrances too on my other hand, so I'm still testing out new fragrances, but this one is one that I test out on this hand and also all around my neck for the past few days. So let's just say I am very much in love with this fragrance, hence why I want to do a review of it. So before we jump right into the review, let's jump into the presentation. First, let's check out the box for Hugo Boss Bottled Intense. You can see in front of the box is a silhouette of the bottle with the name of the bottle below, size and concentration. On the sides here, you'll find nothing, nada, zilch, and the top, you're gonna find Boss right here written or embossed on the top here. In the back of the box, you're gonna find the note breakdown and ingredients, and at the bottom, the barcode. Now for the classic bottle itself, Boss Bottled Intense. Same look as Boss Bottle number 6. They've had this design for a very long time. The whole line has the same design with different color on the bottle. The cap itself is plastic. It does feel a little bit cheap in comparison to the heavy glass bottle right here. The bottle feels very premium. It's heavy in your hand. The cap itself feels a little bit cheap. On the bottle, you're gonna see written on it is Boss, and the concentration of it, it says Intense right here. Boss, Hugo Boss Intense. Around the bottle, there's really nothing else, and at the bottom of the bottle you're gonna see your batch code. Atomizer on this one, it's kind of narrow, but it does its job well. All right, so Hugo Boss Bottled, in the opening, you're gonna get a ton of stuff. This is the most aggressive time for Hugo Boss Bottled Intense. This one opens up with a really rich apple, the sweet kind of gourmandish apple fruitiness with the cinnamon. The cinnamon is gonna be the king of this fragrance from the start all the way towards sort of the end-ish. So apple cinnamon, very decadent, rich, delicious, very sexy. There's a freshness in this fragrance as well that's coming from the geranium and the cardamom. So cardamom gives it a little bit of a fresh, spicy edge, and the geranium gives it a slight touch of freshness, like a slight bit of minty freshness, just a touch, but you do get that in the background. And behind all of that, you're gonna notice a light sweetness, a light touch of base sweetness that's in the background. And yes, this is just in the opening. In the opening, you will get all of these nuances if you smell it up close like this. So really complex opening. I really enjoy it. And this is a part of the fragrance that I like smelling the most, hence why I keep smelling it off the cap. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Oh God, it's just it's so really addicting. And I keep respraying it on my hand and my neck just to get that cloud of sillage in the opening that I really love. So yeah, the opening of this one, let's just say top notch. As the fragrance dries down a little bit into the mid, you're gonna notice the freshness starts to go away a little bit and give way to the really much now dominant cinnamon that kind of overpowers the rest of the note. There's still some residual apple sweetness in there from the opening. You still get that kind of applejack, apple crumble DNA that's again very sexy. You still get that here in the mid. But again, the freshness, the cardamom, the geranium, those kind of go away a little bit. You might get that a little bit in the back, but most of it is generally gone. What you're gonna get in the back now is more of that heavy dose of sweetness. The vanilla, the tonka beans start to come up more to play. There's a clean vibe in here that's coming from the vetiver all the way down to the end there. Just a slight touch of clean undertone to this fragrance, but overall, this still smells sexy. In the mid, still smells sexy. Not as sexy as the opening, I would say. The opening of this fragrance is definitely the best part, hands down, no doubt. But the mid, it's not so bad either. It still smells rather sexy and rather mass appealing. Now, as the fragrance hits the all the way dry down, you're gonna notice that a lot of the heavier elements in this fragrance are gone. Like the sweetness from the apple, the cinnamon is just like a ghost of a cinnamon now. Instead of just a full blast of cinnamon, it's like a ghost of a cinnamon. It's just kind of hovering around the fragrance. The sweetness of the tonka bean, the vanilla is still lingering around. I would say that those two notes are more prominent now than the cinnamon, and the vetiver here, the clean vibe that you get in the mid starts to become more prominent. Now, this is where to me the fragrance kind of breaks down a little bit because it starts to smell slightly bit synthetic or slightly bit just mushed up together. It's not really a well solid base like you would think from a sweet fragrance. Sweet fragrances tend to have a very solid kind of heavy base. Tends to be one or two smells that you get throughout the dry down, and it smells very distinct. But this one, the dry down is very kind of loosey-goosey, broken apart, smells slightly synthetic. So yeah, the dry down for me is definitely the least favorite part of my fragrance, but luckily it comes around 3.5 hours to 4 hours into the fragrance. So you get a good 3 and 3.5 hours of like magical Hugo Boss Intense until it becomes that kind of like broken down, meh kind of dry down. Next, we're gonna talk about the uniqueness of this scent. I would say that this, at the time it was released, was probably one of the most unique fragrances ever made to man. Well, the original anyway, the original Boss number 6 released in 1998, that one at the time was probably one of the most unique fragrances ever released. Then the rename Boss Bottled and the new release Boss Bottled Intense, this DNA in general to me still smells to this day kind of unique. There's more fragrances out now with apple and cinnamon that kind of reduce the uniqueness of this one down quite a bit, but it's not a mainstream type of composition where every house needs to have one, like a Sauvage composition. This one is definitely picked up by a couple of houses, but not nearly as much as a lot of DNAs that you see out there, like the Tonka Bean DNA, the Sauvage DNA. Those DNAs are definitely way more popular than this one. I would actually say that barbershop DNA fragrances, clean style fragrances, are even more popular than the Hugo Boss kind of apple, cinnamon, gourmandish DNA. But yes, it has been picked up by some house, but at the end of the day, it's still rather unique even in today's market. Next, we're gonna talk about mass appeal, and this one is extremely mass appealing in the beginning and the mid. You're gonna be hard pressed to find anyone who dislikes this one of you. You're gonna find it really hard as well for any girl to find this not enjoyable of you, because it smells just, again, decadent, it's gourmand, it's sexy, it's slightly spicy, it's sweet, and it's fresh at the same time. It has everything it needs to be a mass appealing, sensual date night type of fragrance. So mass appeal wise, this thing is a legend. In the dry down though, maybe not so much, still appealing, but in the mid and the opening, definitely a killer fragrance mass appeal wise. Next, we're gonna talk about performance. This one lasts on my skin 6 to 8 hours. I find that if my skin is a little bit drier, it only lasts 6 hours. If I like moisturize before I spray this on, it lasts around 8 hours, sometimes pushing 9 hours, which to me is very decent. If you're wearing this out to a date or to the office, 6 to 8 hours, definitely enough for you. So you don't really need any more than that. In terms of projection, this one projects really nicely, kind of warm, rich, lingering air for the first 1 to 2 hours. After that, it becomes more intimate, kind of closer to your skin. And after like the 3.5 hours, 4 hour mark, that's when the fragrance becomes kind of a skin scent. That's when the dry down starts to set in. If you have a decant with you, reapply every 4 hours. You always get that really nice and sexy feeling throughout the time that you're wearing this fragrance. So at around the 4 hour mark, I would say if you have a decant of it, I would recommend to reapply. Next, we have Versatility. This one for season, fall and winter. It is quite a heavy fragrance, I would say. Not the most enjoyable in the sun. You may be able to wear it in the spring, but fall and winter time is definitely a time to wear this. The best occasion I would say to wear this fragrance is the office and for date occasion. For the office, because it still smells very much a professional scent, despite it being on the more sensual and romantic side, it still has that very, very nice professional appeal about it. And for date, obvious reason, gourmand, sexy, warm, inviting fragrance. This is perfect as a date scent. It is one of the best date scent out there that you can buy at this price point. In my personal opinion, it's just a killer for dates. So those two occasions, office and date, are the two best times to wear it. But this is one that in the fall and winter time, you can definitely rock as a signature scent. There's no bad time to wear this fragrance in my personal opinion. The projection is personal and intimate enough to where you won't really offend anyone. And anyone who walks past you will probably enjoy the scent of this regardless of where you are. Next, we're gonna touch on the price. This comes in two sizes, 50 ml and 100 ml. 50 ml, I was able to find it at discounters for around $25 to $28. So just under $30, so really, really affordable. For 100 ml, I was able to find it for around $35 to $39, depending on where you look. I bought this one for $36 myself. So at this price point, I would say it is gorgeous. It's such a gorgeous kind of hidden gem price point, because not a lot of people would put this in a cheapie list, you know what I mean? When people think of cheapie, they think of like Cool Water, they think of Perry Ellis 360 Red, they think of Salvatore Ferragamo F Black, but no one really thinks of Mr. Boss Intense right here. But he is a cheapie fragrance at $26 for 50 ml and $35 for 100 ml. That is very, very affordable. And for a scent like this, Oh my God, it's a really, really good price. I'm actually very surprised that not a lot of people are talking about this fragrance, you know, given that the price is so low, but I guess it is kind of an older fragrance and people like to move on to bigger and better things. But still, it's affordable, it's mass appealing, it performs well, it can be used in a lot of different situations. It's a banger at this price point. Lastly, we have the rating for Hugo Boss Bottled Intense. After going through all the numbers and consideration, I'm gonna give this fragrance a B tier with a recommendation to purchase a bottle. This is definitely a bottle worthy fragrance. There's nothing about this fragrance that tells you that you should just sample it. There's no sampling this one. It's cheap enough for you to just buy a 50 ml bottle and not think twice. If you don't like it, sell it back. So back to the summary and rating. Hugo Boss Bottled Intense to me is a really good scent. It has a lot going for it. The scent is amazing. The versatility is amazing. Price point is amazing. But at the end of the day, there's still one thing that really kills it at the end, and that is the performance. In today's meta, in today's market with strong projecting fall and winter fragrances like Pure Havana, for example, this fragrance, Hugo Boss Bottled Intense, just doesn't stack up to today's powerhouse, especially being that it's a fall and winter fragrance. We all wish that it performs better. We all wish that it just projects a little more. So every time I wear it anyway, I always wish that I want it to project more. There's always something that's missing in the performance for me, just a little bit for a fall and winter scent. So because of that, it got knocked down a few points and landed in B tier. But if the performance was better, it could have landed itself in A tier, to be perfectly honest. It's a really good scent, and at the price point, it really is one of the most unbeatable fragrance at that price point, one of the most bang for your buck fragrance ever. So yeah, that's my whole review and rating on Hugo Boss Bottled Intense. I love it. At the price point, it's amazing. I wish it performs better, but at the end of the day, I'm happy with my purchase, and I recommend you guys purchase a bottle of this one for yourself if you so happen to like the scent. All right guys, that's it. This is the end of the review. As for recommendation, if you like Hugo Boss Bottled Intense or just the DNA in general, there are a few fragrances that I recommend you check out that are similar. First one is from YSL, and this one is YSL L'Homme. Now, L'Homme doesn't really have the kind of heavy cinnamon or gourmandage kind of feeling, but there's an apple note in there that you're gonna find very similar to Hugo Boss Bottled Intense right here. So if you like the apple in this one, you're gonna like the apple in L'Homme. The next one I recommend you check out is from Parfums de Mali, and this one is Carlisle. This one is also an apple cinnamon, apple jack type of DNA, but very much richer, stronger, more niche. It has a lot more nuances into it. So you can say that Carlisle is kind of like a niche version of Hugo Boss Bottled in a way. So if you enjoyed Hugo Boss Bottled Intense, you'll most likely enjoy Parfums de Mali Carlisle. Alright guys, that's it for this review today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about my rating system, all the information on it is in the description below. I spent a lot of hours coming up with this one, so there's a lot of nuances that goes into this rating system. Check it all out down in the description below. And with that being said, don't forget to leave your thoughts on this fragrance down below. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace and bye.